Welcome to Big Life Weekly Series, where we empower high achievers to break free from limits, unlock their natural potential, and live a big life. I'm your host, Robert Acosta, and each week we will explore the strategies, mindsets, and tools you need to thrive, not just in your professional career, but in every aspect of your life. Whether you're a leader looking for a better balanced life, an entrepreneur aiming for sustainable success, or someone ready to take the next step toward your best self, this podcast is your space to grow, reflect, and take action. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, I'm Robert Acosta. I'm with Ali Hussain from Victual Inc. in Toronto, Canada. Welcome, Ali.
Hi, Robert. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Let's jump right in and start showcasing your business. Ali, can you give us a 90-second overview of what your business does and why you got into it?
Sure. So what our business does, we are an accelerator for early stage tech services companies. We help them, we take early stage tech service founders, help them grow their business. Our goal is to help you receive life-changing outcomes, and the way we help you through is helping you narrow down your focus and operationalizing your business so that you can actually start building a proper pipeline with those two elements in place. Why we got into it? This is actually the second business that I'm founding. The first business was a tech services company, Flux 7 Labs. We were an AWS Premier Tier partner. We started in 2013, got accolades from CRN, TechTarget, Fast Company, Inc., and we had an exit to Entity Data Services in 2019. It was the best journey of our most fulfilling career journey that we could have asked for. And what we wanted to do was make that same journey, same path available to more people.
Right, makes sense. So what do you enjoy most about your work in the tech service business?
It's so before we started this business, we were in this luxury, enviable position where we're like, okay, what do you want out of your life? It was about the only thing that like we could think about what is it that really matters to us. I recently became a father, and when we started this business, and to me, when I started thinking about what it is that I want out of my life, I was like, okay, well, I want my kids to look up to me as a hardworking dad, something that's going to inspire them to do it, and I want them to take entrepreneurship seriously. As a child, even though my own father, he was a business owner his entire life. I did not actually think about entrepreneurship when I was young. It wasn't until a lot later when I made the decision that hey, entrepreneurship is something that suits me, and so I wanted my children to challenge this idea of uh, uh, do well in school, get your grades, do a job, get this degree from the university and get a job and work X years in the job. Even though I'm still going to have them do well in school and want them to do that, but to me, I don't want them to think of the job as a final destination. I want them to have entrepreneurship as a destination. And so I want them to see me be an entrepreneur so they can actually have that. It could have definitely been true that they would have known that I in the past was an entrepreneur and I could have told them stories about it, but that's not the same thing as them seeing me live the life and seeing me actually do things according to that.
Right, that's great. So in this path of entrepreneurship, How do you define success in the work you do that your kids are going to see and say, "Oh, I have a successful father in his, and I want to follow his path." What is success to you?
So there was so there's obviously the money aspect that has to be covered, right?
Part, yeah.
Um, for me in this business, money obviously if you're running a business, money has to be a part of it.
Mhm.
Money was well in any business has it definitely was not the first motivator. Not even sure it was the same motivator, but the third motivator maybe. But the first motivator was this aspect of this experience was something that was really benefit, and I need to make it so, and I want to make that more accessible to others. And with that idea, um, guiding others, building others. That is definitely a huge part of what it is that we are trying to do, what we're trying to build.
Right.
And that's definitely a part of what's important to me. And um, in that journey, I guess my motivation in terms of what it is for this business may differ from what I would want my kids to walk away with, and that I would want them to have money as a higher priority because money does need to be there.
Of course.
It's just the basics. You need money to pay people to be able to build your business, to be able to build the world that you need to build from it.
Yeah, I agree. Some people say that money is not important. It is important. If you really want to impact your family and more people, you need money to do so because that's the way we're organized in this humanity, at least in this planet. So it's equally important as your health and
Mhm.
as your mental health, physical health is equally important. So I'm just curious now that you're embedded in this journey of entrepreneurship, what is the biggest problem or challenge you see in your industry, and how are you solving that for yourself, your clients, colleagues, or referral partners?
The biggest challenge for in the industry. So I think this is going to very much touch on kind of a very general theme, but one of the hardest challenges that we actually face is saying no to opportunities.
Yeah.
And it was many years ago in our previous company, we became organized and we were like, okay, let's do OKRs, and then we walked away with 20 OKRs, and then at the end of the next quarter, nothing actually got done. Sorry, OKRs, I should define that: objective key results. It's a method for organizational planning. But we did that, and nothing got done. And then we had one of our leaders who had more of a Scrum Master Agilist role. He held us accountable to, okay, well, if everything is the number one priority, nothing is. And uh, this is kind of it's very, very hard to say no to a missed opportunity. And you continuously have to do that when you're building a business. Your time is finite, your money is finite, your attention is finite. Everything that you're working with is finite, and you need to make sure that it is directed towards things that matter. And
Right.
so, and it's very, very difficult. Like everything looks like a rosy, oh my God, that can be worth millions. But uh, it could be, and probably somebody will make millions off that, but you need to do what it is that you have. You need to finish, not start chasing after something. It's when it's something when you actually accomplish things.
Yeah, I know. You said it beautifully. It's learning how to say no, not because there is a bad, that's a bad idea, Very good ideas that come in your way, and you have to say no because you're focused on one thing, the thing that you know that and you believe that is the one that you want to focus on. You're going to be successful with that. So, yeah, mostly in this world of a lot of distractions that we have all over the place, maintain that focus is really, as you mentioned it, a challenge. So I'm glad that you are focusing on that, and you know now that, and that's a great learning for many people, and of course for your kids.
No.
You have to say no. Mm.
Yeah, and it's something that is a continuous journey, and it doesn't mean that that you're not reevaluating what you're doing as being
Of
the
course,
right thing or not, and you have to constantly do that, which makes it worse because there is a balance that you have to maintain, and it's obviously maintaining a balance is a lot more difficult than a religious. You just have to do something.
of course. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And sometimes you say no to something, no today because you're
yeah,
doing something else, but it's not definitely a no forever, right?
but
So
absolutely.
let me ask you this: who is your ideal client, and what significant outcomes can they expect when they work with you?
So, our ideal client, I would say, is a tech services company. So, making, let's say, $1.5 million in revenue. That's kind of where the average falls for us.
Mm.
Uh, they've uh, they started, obviously, if they're making $1.5 million in revenue, they have started learning how to sell, and they have an idea of how they're selling. They have to, they have the resources that they can allocate towards actually uh, building, building to making changes. They're still early, and that's kind of who we want to work with, just from our mission perspective. If you're like $100 million company, I'm sure. Well, actually, once you cross the 10 million mark, you can the ecosystem that we're trying to fill, that ecosystem is already filled by a lot of private equity companies. So
Yeah.
then we're not a right fit. We're 1.5 million to cross the 10 million barrier is where we really come in, um, and where you know how to sell. You have some scale of leadership, so you can actually depend on the you have scaled some of the basic delivery processes, and can are not completely consumed, so you can actually start working on the business rather than in the business.
Yeah, makes sense. Well, you have it clear of who are you looking for and who you can really help in this case your clients. So you know how nowadays more people are actively seeking solutions to achieve better outcomes. So what makes you unique in the way you help them achieve those outcomes?
Sure. One thing, one of the ways to understand how we're different is to actually look at kind of the comparisons that I gave you in that where the difference with the private equity. Uh, so looking at services companies, the economics for tech services companies are very different from tech product companies. For a tech There is a set of business skills that you need to learn for running any business. And but a tech product company, it has a huge market risk. A tech services company, very little upfront investment. You don't need to bring in money into the business to be able to test out the ideas. But you don't have as much of a you don't have as much of the hyper growth either, which means that they are not interesting to investors for very valid reasons. And that's but what really does happen is that this business knowledge, the set of knowledge on how to run a tech services business, that is actually very effective for these companies because it is something you're exposed to a lot more of a lot less of the progress. So so working with benefiting from the advice of other people who have done it before can be very powerful. And this is the underlying thesis that under which we are set up, and that we want to make that knowledge accessible. How we're doing it, we first put you through a boot camp in which we're going to teach you several of the basics that are needed to be put into place. Then the next step in that process is we're going to uh, you see a lot of boot camps and accelerators for product companies. The one thing that they have is to put you through the accelerator, and at the end of the accelerator, they shake your hands, have a pitch day in which you come in front of multiple investors, and then if you get lucky, you get that. Otherwise, you are nowhere. Uh, what we're saying is that, hey, if you stay the course, there is a very high chance of success as you become better and better as a business leader. And we are going to work with you in building a slow helping you stay the course. So uh, uh, we do pseudo board meetings in which we're going to work with you in terms of checking on the business strategy and also holding you accountable to your commitments. And the other thing that we do is we have continuous education, and we are very centered on building a community. We actually have an annual conference. It's happening on April 14th and 15th in Austin, Texas, in I guess 2 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so in this conference, you have the people come in, you have mentors, people who have grown tech services companies to 8 and 9 figure exits. You have people who have solved the exact problems for these size tech service companies and can come on as consultants to help them come in. So we're creating this full ecosystem for solving this problem, and we're doing it specifically for the segment that is neglected, the that doesn't have the revenue to actually pay for it, and it's part that we recognize that you can't pay for something like that. Like when we were getting sales consultation advice, we were paying $1,000 an hour. That becomes very expensive very quickly for somebody that with $1 million revenue. And so our way out of that is we are taking a share in equity, and we are now true partners. Our success is entirely based on your success.
Yeah, well, yes, relationships is mandatory. At the end, in the end, we are working with humans, no, not machines. So it's
Absolutely.
important to go on inside that. So, having said that, and I know you have a lot of experience working with a lot of people, maybe different industries, because tech services it's used by any industry. So, can you share with us some strange, or what is the strangest or funniest incident that you have experienced while working in your tech services business? Something surprising maybe that
Sure.
happened to you?
So I said we're an AWS consultant, right? AWS is Amazon Web Services. So we had a lead come in, a very big departmental store in the US, and we're having the conversation, and then there's a stop that comes into the conversation, and they're like, okay, well, all of that is good, and what you're telling us is very useful, but we're not going to give Amazon our lunch money. So it was a very interesting phenomenon to notice in that Amazon with AWS, it was a very uh, it was very neutral. It was nothing related at all to consumer retail, but AWS, just in terms of having these, being Amazon, the 800-pound gorilla in retail, uh, there were many, many people many large retailers who were like, no, we are not going to touch Amazon because of that. This is before a lot of the other controversies around Amazon had started, but it was that for us was a new thing to see in that market, and
Right.
it was inevitably the people that did it. They were. Have you? I believe it is the book "Crossing the Chasm" by Jeffrey Moore. He gives this analogy of in each market there's an 800-pound gorilla, and then there's a couple of chimpanzees, and then there's a whole bunch of monkeys.
So,
Um,
yeah.
you want to be the 800-pound gorilla in whatever market you are, and Amazon is the 800-pound gorilla in the retail market. But it was always the chimpanzees who had a shot of competing against Amazon, who were we cannot give, who had a company message of we cannot give Amazon that money. Um, kind of interesting thing that we noticed in the industry, but I don't know how applicable it could be for people.
Yeah, you have to be ready for anything in this industry, I guess. Though. So, of course, a mandatory question when we talk about tech or technology in general is what do you see as the coming trends within your business or industry, and how are you staying on top of that?
So, I mean, there's no secrets on what is interesting in tech right now, right? It's AI, and
Right.
the question is not what, it is how much and where. One thing that I would say with our business right now, we're very uh, so before even started this business, we were having the okay, what do we want to do conversations, and what we decided was that uh, we made this we made this a mantra for the company before we even started, which was we are not going to hire for cogs. We had run the services company. It was great. It was amazing. It was also very exhausting having to deal with and having to manage as many people as we did, keeping everyone happy. And we wanted to break from that. So to keep ourselves from falling into old habits, we gave this mantra of do not do not hire for cogs.
Mhm.
And it was, but as we kept on building the business, we've kept our team very lean. But the one thing that we have actually done is we've hired uh, our previous company's first engineer. We hired her in as an AI engineer, and she's continuously developing automations and integrations within our business. So we have all of this data from all of these companies, and we want to be able to use that, help them see that data better, help them get more value out of it.
Right.
And so that is how we're using it for ourselves.
Yeah, well, you're using it right away. So, talking a little bit more about the future. What
Mhm.
is the next growth area for you personally, maybe? And yeah, I remember what you mentioned, the relation with your kids and what you want to demonstrate to your family, to your kids, to follow your path. What's that next growth area for you and your business?
So for my business, where what I shared, 1.5 million has figured out sales, has freed up leadership bandwidth to be able to do to actually work on the business, right? One thing that we do actually want to do is create uh, more value for people who may not have reached that level yet,
Mm.
uh, who people who do not know yet how to sell, people who have not yet figured out how to free up their time to be able to work on the business. And so we're thinking about what are the offerings that we can create for them to help them in their journey.
Okay. Do you have some personal growth that you are trying to be better
My
in something?
personal growth with my kids, it was. supposed to be that I was going to get involved like I wanted to have more science experiments with them and try to do more frequent science experiments. Those so far have fallen flat. What the science experiments that I have been able to do, my sister-in-law is partly to blame for it. Is She got me one of those KitchenAid mixers because I baked a few things. So now more and more, the experimentation we're doing is with baking with the kids.
Ah, that's great. Well, it's a good time for spending with kids, right? Doing something meaningful.
And I mean, there is a lot of science involved in baking in terms of
Okay.
caramelizing and sodium bicarbonate releasing carbon dioxide.
Yeah, definitely. I always said it that we are surrounded by science. Everything is science, but unfortunately, in some schools they don't teach it that way. They teach it like something with a mystery and very complicated. But we leave science everywhere. Everywhere is chemistry and physics. So it's good that every day you can connect your kids and even yourself to something that is natural. It's natural to be surrounded of these things.
I'm this What you just said, right? It hits me in a very dear to me place. The only caveat is that we actually had an idea for. I actually was convincing my co-founders to make a company in this direction before we changed directions and before we decided landed on the Wixel direction.
Mm.
But as we talked about making the hard decisions, I'm not going to be talking. I'd rather not be talking about ideas that I said no, I am not going to implement.
Yeah, it makes sense. So let me ask you this funny question.
Okay.
If you could have lunch with one person, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Lunch with one person, living or dead.
Who comes into your mind?
It's interesting, right? Right now, nobody is actually coming to my mind, and I think that's my current ambitions. I feel like I have a path towards them, and the things that are important for me, I uh, I feel like I have a direction to them in all this, and so I don't. It's Nobody is like sure there are lots of very cool but cool people that would be there, but I can't. There's nobody aligning exactly with what I want more than what I like. I have who I want right now in my life.
Perfect. Yeah, well, that's a
So
good
maybe
answer.
my wife. Uh,
You have a lunch with your wife. Oh,
I will
well,
have lunch with my wife because
for free.
there can never be enough lunches with the wife.
There you go. That's a good answer. Definitely. Okay, Ali. So, what is the best way for people to contact you if they'd like to work with you or discuss referral partnerships?
The best way to contact me, um, find me on LinkedIn. My name Ali Hussain. Wixel should give it, or just go to Wixel, and there should be a lot of. I should be referenced quite easily. We're a very small team, so you should be
Okay.
very easy to find me from Wixel. Wixel is a far better search word than Ali Hussain. Ali Hussain is a really common name. Wixel is Victor India X-ray Uniform Lima.
Okay, perfect. So that was amazing. I truly enjoyed our conversation. So thank you so much, Ali, for being a guest on the podcast.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Robert.
Thank you for joining me on Big Life Weekly series. I hope today's episode gave you the insight, inspiration, and tools you need to move closer to the life you're meant to live. Remember, true success isn't just about what you achieve, it's about how you feel while you achieving it. If you found value in our conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others who are ready to embrace their big life. Until next time, stay focused, keep growing, enjoy life, and break free.